Welcome to this finale edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral, sitting in a dimly lit room, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew. This side of Admiral Picard's side gig, we have Vice Admiral Eric, who is recovered from those replicator hot dogs. Glad you're feeling better, sir.
They were churros, reheated, in a brown bag.
Reheated. Oh no.
That's your wife?
Oh, not the brown bag churros. No. Commander Hawk is here, and he's ready to strap on his own Badmiral tunic.
Hey, I'm not a Badmiral. I'm just misunderstood.
You're not a Badmiral until you are, man.
There's a lot of
Just
Texas
saying.
behind you.
There is a lot of Texas behind you. And finally, Captain Giraffe is here thinking about how she's going to add this episode to her archaeology panel. Am I right there with the Indiana Jones thing not going to happen? No.
It's too much. I'm going to wait for Discovery 5 to totally bury me in archaeology. And then...
There you go. I like that. Good idea. Also joining us on our view screen tonight, we are thrilled and honored to welcome back our friend from Trek Untold, Matthew Kaplowitz. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me back here.
Oh, the crowd goes wild.
I think it's the crowd. It's either that or it's some really bad static.
Yeah. Listen, it's great to have you on, and also personally, it was awesome getting to run into you at New York City Comic Con. We got to sit right in front of each other for the Star Trek panel. It was cool to meet in person. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing too, because I didn't know you were going to be there, and I think you knew I was going to be there, but I didn't know you were coming, and you basically just parked yourself right in front of me.
I did.
It was absolute kismet.
Yep, it was awesome. I love moments like that. It was meant to be. Also want to say hello to all those on YouTube, the YouTube Collective. Welcome to our finale review tonight. A lot to get to. We're going to change up the format of the show because we have so much. So this week it is the season 3 finale of Lower Decks. Already,
Yeah.
if any of these shows, and Prodigy if any of these shows was going to be 20 episodes, I would like it to be Lower Decks. But that being said, I'll take it where I can get it. What happens, guys, when Carol challenges Admiral Buenamigo's Texas class to a second contact race with the fate of the Cali class at stake? That's right. What does Boimler do to deeply offend the leader of the Bear Pack, Lieutenant Shaxs? Mariner, though, is having a blast, so why is her spider sense tingling, going off, doing the whole, what's that game, that mobile game? Not Legends of the Hidden Temple, that was on Nickelodeon. Temple Run, that Indiana Jones knockoff on iOS. Temple Run, that's really fun. She's doing her Temple Run thing. So, but her spider sense is going off. And then Rutherford's big secret also finally revealed. We're going to talk about that. Are we satisfied with it? And then a quick season wrap up. That's all coming up. But first, we're getting into some quick news. Patreon Collective, you guys rock. But we're not going to list your names tonight. We have too much to get to. One of our patrons, though, we had to do this because he messaged me personally today. I was like, listen, I changed my name again. We know who we're talking about already. And it was a Halloween joke. And I said, Chris, you know what? We'll let you have your Halloween joke since it is going into spooky weekend. And I'll just take it away. I'll read Chris's joke here. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise and
Well done. Well done.
Thanks. Good job, Chris. I think Giraffe is.
I have no clue what just happened, but somebody will explain that to me in the chat, I'm sure. And I laugh at one point during the podcast, and that is because I got the.
Do you want us to tell you, or do you just want to figure it out later? Would you like me to read it again?
Yeah, okay. Read it again.
Read it again?
Okay.
Yes.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise and
You got eaten by the monster?
Good job!
Yeah.
Hey!
I was looking for something way more complicated than this.
Oh boy. Oh, thank you, Chris, for that. That was well needed. Just for Giraffe alone. That was
Thank
awesome. News. Giraffe, why don't you read the first piece of news? because I'm going to expand upon. Oh, you don't have the outline. That's right, because Eric got it last minute. Giraffe admitted she didn't even have it in front of her. She's going to get it.
I have it.
I'm the only
okay,
other person
cool.
who has it.
I have it.
No,
I have it.
hey, I always have the outline. I always
Okay,
have the outline.
news. I got it. You have just a few hours to order Uhura beans.
That's right. But that's not true
And
anymore. That's not true
why?
anymore. We're going to
Okay.
extend it to Monday.
Do you see that trap? Like I get shown because I don't have that.
It's true.
outline, and then it's the
Yep.
wrong information. So you have until Monday to order your Uhura pins. All the proceeds will go to Girls with Code, which is a great organization that help promotes diversity in engineering and help women to get into these super cool jobs of tomorrow and today. So
Indeed. Awesome.
Yes.
What's our next bit of news? Eric or Hawk? Do you want to take that one?
Go for it, Hawk.
Our Prodigy mid-season premiere review is live and available for everybody to watch now.
That's right. We pre-recorded that one, so go watch it and go watch Prodigy if you haven't yet. It's awesome. I just want to read. Yeah. We talk about the Kelvin verse a lot in that episode. I want to read Yum Yum Pod's comment right here. Giraffe being confused by these very witty jokes is a staple of the pod. It's very true.
Listen, I do what I can in foreign language, okay?
You do.
It's
You
true. It's true.
do. Before the show started, Matthew and I were talking, and he has some kind of cool Star Trek breaking news that he's going to talk about because it's pretty cool. So your bit of news, Matthew.
Yeah, so we're talking toys right now because earlier today, Super 7 just announced that they are doing a line of Star Trek TNG action figures. And it's kind of a big deal. I know, just recently, this past year, in fact, very, very recently, Playmates just relaunched the Star Trek line as well. And we got figures from Discovery, we got figures from Wrath of Khan, and they're doing their TNG line as well. And those are essentially like $12 budget figures that you will find in Targets and probably Walmarts. But for folks who don't know about Super 7, Super 7 is a much more collector-oriented brand of toys. And they're known for doing their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line right now, which is amazing. I was buying a few of their New Japan Pro Wrestling figures, deep cut for any wrestling fans out there.
Hey.
Yep, there you go. And so they do a lot of really cool stuff. Right now they're doing Silverhawks and Thundercats as well.
Ooh.
Silverhawks.
So they make really cool stuff, and they just opened a pre-order. So I want to let everybody know, just folks who might not be familiar with Super 7, a little bit about what they do, how they operate. So Super 7 is not like mass-produced toys. So they are by pre-order only. You're not going to find these in any big box stores. You're going to basically get it from Super 7 directly, or you're going to have to go to like another specialty toy vendor online. And so the big thing about that too is like once the pre-order is done, that's it. They make them that number, and they're done.
Oh, so I have to pre-order them because there's two that I
They look
desperately want
amazing.
from that line. Yeah.
You need a Riker with his trombone and little Picard
I'm
statue.
getting
right?
that, and he's going to be going right here.
Also,
and
Data with the violin, man, that looks
And
so
Spot.
good.
I'm just
There's a
looking at
Spock one?
some.
No, and Spot.
Oh,
the
and Spot.
cat.
Okay, that does make.
I'm just looking at some of the other ones. They do a Motorhead Lemmy toy.
So they do these Ultimates, which are like their 7-inch line of like super articulated stuff. They also do a Reaction line, which is retro style 3 3/4 inch figures. So the big thing, just folks should know, is that these are expensive figures. These are going to be, I think, $55 a piece because
not
these
pricey.
are collector figures. Yeah, and they are very friendly. You can take them out of the box, put them right back in, so that part's cool. But if you are someone who wants to order these and has never ordered from Super 7 before, I just want to let you guys know there occasionally have been known to have been some quality control issues that they will tend to fix as they go along. And another thing too is since they are a smaller company, if you pre-order now, when you get those, shrug. They take a very long time to fulfill those orders. So like if you're expecting this to come next
Oh, sounds
spring,
like Hot Toys.
yeah, no, exactly. It's probably worse. Honestly, it's actually worse than Hot Toys. Like Exo 6 have been pretty great about getting their stuff out. Super
Yeah.
7 is one of the worst. So
like
if you
I am
pre-order this,
8-bit.
you prepare to wait a very long time, at least a year, potentially more.
It says October 2023 expected.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah,
COVID
no.
especially messed up real
Yeah.
bad. So if you order these, you're going to be waiting for a pretty long time. So yeah, just heads up. They look really cool. I'm going to probably pre-order them. but take it with a grain of salt. Sculpts can change. I think a lot can happen in a year.
I'm getting the Riker and the Locutus.
Locutus looks
because they're
amazing.
both
Even
really
the guy,
dope.
the Guinan looks really
They're all
good,
really
too.
good. So yeah, the 4 are Riker, Data, Guinan, and I just said him.
Locutus.
Locutus. So, yep.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
yeah.
So they're really cool, very expensive. That's my bit of news. Get them if you want them. Just again, be warned, it's going to be a little bit of time. So on the plus side, you got some more extra time to make up that $220 if you buy all 4 of them.
Do they charge you up front?
I believe they do. That's how that works. Yeah, they'll charge you up front.
Damn.
Or at least once the pre-order ends is probably when they'll take your money. I don't think they're some places do like non-refundable deposits, like Exo6. I think
I like
and
that.
Mezco. I
Yeah.
don't know if they do that. They probably do, but don't take my word for that. To quote
Right.
LeVar Burton, who needs a figure in the next wave.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
With a hologram.
Yep.
2-pack.
35 days before it finishes.
Yeah, the pre-order. Yep.
Yeah.
Any other news from anybody before we get into the season finale of Lower Decks?
Got the
Anybody?
Picard 2 week 2 registration.
Oh, shit, yeah,
is going
I-
to go live in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Thank you. I let Matthew go ahead, even though I told him he was going to be after that bit of news. Yeah. Cats of Picard week 2. Draft and I talked about it because of holidays and everything. Things can get, forgotten about.
We'll think
very
about other
quickly.
things, right?
We think about other
I mean,
things. So, Cats of Picard week 2, our second podcast festival registration, it'll go live in 2 weeks. So we'll have a new logo for that as well. So things to look forward to. Already have a couple of podcasts locked down for that, which is really cool. So it's finale time, folks. The Stars at Night, deep down in Texas. I don't know how the song goes, so I'm not going to butcher it anymore in case I offend any Texans who are maybe listening. It is The Stars at Night, a review of Lower Deck Season 3, their season finale. Our roundtable order tonight is going to be Matthew, Eric, Hawk, Giraffe, and followed by myself. Let's get right into it, going into the second contact race. The episode starts off with Carol and Buenamigo in an inquiry at Starfleet Command. And then per his recommendation, Starfleet's about to shutter the entire California class program. It's a lot of ships. But before they can, Carol plays one more card and challenges Buenamigo's automated Texas class ships to a second contact race, which is something she just fucking made up on the fly, which well done, by the way. Thoughts on how this played out, Matthew?
Yeah, to be honest, I actually thought this was going to be the crux of the entire episode. So that just tells you how loaded this one was. 'Cause there was so much more that happened. This was just the first act. And it was really cool. I like the fact that we were doing this great space race right off the bat. So cool. Just gave a lot of different things you could do with it. I think it lived up to its potential. It was really good what they did there. And gave us our first glimpse of what was to come of the Alito. And there sure was a lot more to come.
Yeah, truth. Eric?
Yep, I really liked it too. I liked how packed this episode was, especially this first act, and it really shows the underhandedness of Buenamigo, especially in this first little bit where he keeps pushing, and you can't love a person who puts so many things on a uniform. Like that was one ugly ass uniform.
Epaulets.
Epaulets
Comes with
everywhere.
4 epaulets.
Everywhere.
That was gonna be my background on my screen, but I didn't do it because it didn't. I love the idea of a race for against AI. That it feels so sci-fi, and I don't think I've ever seen it on Star Trek. So it was nice to see something like that on here.
Nice. Huck?
I love the classic villain hubris and that, and he was full of it tonight because as we kind of got the impression last week, he's been behind a lot of the stuff that was happening, especially like with the media attack and that, and then the coordinated rescue and that by his brand new invention, and it was great. I mean, like, yeah, this could have easily eaten up the entire episode and that, but they kept it really nice and simple. I especially loved him and that, just kicking back with the stogie.
Yes, I jokingly tweeted that that's Mike McMahon just sitting back, laying back after another successful season of Lower Decks Season 3. So, or Lower, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. You good?
I'm good.
Giraffe.
Well, okay, so I liked it, but
But
I think it's interesting to see how Starfleet is totally losing touch and should go out and touch grass. Because
yes.
What is this? What is this? Like they have like spaceship and they're like racing to know which is the best spaceship to retire, like a whole fleet of like starship. It's like give them to another planet. I don't know, give them another job to do. Like guys,
Or actually just like open an inquiry, not like just like what they did to Michael, sentencing her, you know, like in one room, like have it be what they do in the Senate and stuff, like have an inquiry, have like people testify, have captains of those ships testify, like
and even there's like
order
a
of things.
bunch of people and like people from different planets who are part of the Federation. Like, what are you gonna do with this? And I think it's actually very. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it's how I read it. But it's a very good start of how we see the Federation being in Picard, and then how we see the Federation, what we learn about the Federation in Discovery, like how they totally lost touch with what they were doing and why they were here. Like a bunch of Admiral playing games with very fancy, expensive technology and people's life, and
Yeah.
having, yeah, let's do a race. I mean, I know Lower Deck is comedy and so on, but you know, like imagine that the Federation would be, I mean, Starfleet, sorry, would really do this, and you're like, these people need to like refocus on why we're here and what we're doing. So I liked it, but I didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you're not supposed to like it, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And MC brings up a great point. The ship also completely misses the point of Starfleet. It's for people to explore, not rush to colonize. Yeah, like Buenamigo wants to just take the Starfleet out of Starfleet and just have drones do everything so admirals can, and it's not like even admirals can line their pockets, right? Like there's no money in the Century, so I don't know like what his end goal is other than to get congratulated.
We're 7 years before the Roman supernova, so you're like, okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah,
You see like a hint
yeah.
of like Starfleet and the Federation just like losing touch, yeah, and
Yeah.
being let's go fast and let's go big and let's do things, and then having the synth revolt on Mars and burning everything down, you know.
There may not be money that Buenamigo would get, but it feeds his ego, and really,
yeah.
it's all about the legacy he leaves behind. So when like he could just be a regular like desk admiral, and no one would care about him when he goes, but now he'll be remembered, especially after what happens in this episode.
Yeah,
And he'll have more epaulets to wear on his shoulders.
yeah, yeah.
What
All
shoulders?
that, yeah. Oh man, I'm wondering if we were getting the groundwork on what actually happened on. Oh yeah, well yes, we'll see. Let's talk more about this. They do the race. The Texas class is actually trailing the Cerritos for a little bit, but then Tendi, being the awesome scientist she is, possibly finds life on one of the planets, and this actually gives Carol, even though they start losing, it gives her an opening against Buenamigo, calling out a numbers flaw in the Texas class, because like it has to do with ethical subroutines. Like it didn't scan for life. It just dropped what it wanted to drop on there without doing the work that Starfleet is all about. So that opens up. And during this moment also, Rutherford finally figures out the secret of his implant. The code that he used for Badgie and when he was like being like badass Mr. Racer Boy is the same code that is being used in the Texas class. So then Lieutenant Commander Buamigo had his memory erased to kind of cover up the failure. What did we think about this being the Rutherford revelation, Matthew?
In retrospect, I guess it makes perfect sense because he's really like the only recurring character we had. But aside from that point, I actually was kind of surprised that they just dropped that on us already, because I thought they were going to maybe spread out a little bit more. Like I was actually like thinking before I watched it, like maybe this is the thing they're going to kind of just give us over who knows how many seasons and make it a real slow build. But instead they kind of just were like, here it is, and that's our arc for season 3. So I guess that does set up a lot of new stuff. We can kind of move past this now in terms of the plot from what Lower Decks is doing with it. Maybe that part is good. Maybe now we're going to get more of whatever Rutherford's going to do to like try to find himself, I guess, or try to combine all his different elements together. So I guess for me, I'm happy it's done. It's cool. It's a good reveal. I wonder, like, could they have spread it out more and made it more enticing over time? Would that have been a better decision to do than what they did here?
Yeah.
I mean,
Eric?
we sort of realized like in every season they sort of just wrap things up really fast. Even the whole Carol Freeman getting arrested thing was wrapped up in one episode. So I'm not really surprised that Rutherford's thing was wrapped up. What I'm more surprised of is was Boimler 2 not being in this episode at all.
I thought he was going to show up also during the big save. Yeah.
But to go back on the Tendi finding life on the planet, there's something to be said about humans and our intuition when we're doing tasks and stuff, because AI can only do so much. They can't really interpret. They do what they're told. They do what their code says. So there's nothing that could really replace human life for that. Sorry, I keep coughing.
It's racist. Not human life, but
Yeah, life. Sorry.
Life?
Yeah, life in general.
The Vulcans are frowning at that comment.
There's an episode of Tales of the Jedi where Ahsoka is doing training against droids, but it's not the same as doing training against live people, because people don't act like that. They don't act in set sequences. Like we improvise. We feel things out. Like that's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah, that's one of the
chat is
the
saying
beauty of life.
Tendy's not human. Tendy's
Yeah.
not
I'm sorry.
human.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's why I switched over to life. Sentient life. Yes. Let's see. Other than that, Rutherford, it's cool. I like that. His revelation's done. I like that he has. Even this episode, he feels a lot more like his old self mixed with his newer self. Especially when he was really into the code. It felt like him fixing his ships when he was a younger Rutherford. All in all, I like his thing. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Hawk.
So possibly it was a little anticlimactic, because I think we all got the impression, like, last week that, that was heading into like a Admiral thing, and we kind of maybe got a hint that, that Buenamigo was behind it and that would connect in with Rutherford and everything. Because Lower Decks likes to wrap everything up, that it starts as an arc, usually around the end of the season or possibly going into, the beginning of the next one. So possibly there was a way to extend it, but then again, I don't think they like to get hung up on like these overarching plots in their animated in this series and that, because it's an animated series that covers, like, it's supposed to be comedic, and that can kind of weigh down the potential for comedy in those aspects. Even given that, it was ultimately a neat and satisfying conclusion to the mystery of Rutherford's memory loss. No, the revelation from Tendi and that there was an aspect that the AI was skipping that was a very important aspect of being Starfleet, was great. A little plot devicey, but it was still good. It's like Eric said, and that I was going to mention, like, that's in developing AI, improvisation is like one of those second tier things that they try and go for in the bicameral mind setup. Watch Westworld. Ultimately, I was pretty happy with that. They got it closed. They gave us closure. We can move on to something else next season.
Draft.
I'm just confused by these AI plots. We have a lot of AI plots in Lower Decks this season, like between Peanut Humper, Agimus. Agimus was last season, right? But he shows up a little bit too.
Yeah.
The Texas class, and we're 100 years, 150 years after what's the name of the thing in Discovery season 2,
Control. Yeah.
I was gonna say Central. I was like Control. Yeah, and you're just like, okay.
It just seems like Admirals are like not learning their lesson from that, because there's some there. Well, I think all the admirals are dead, right? There's a couple of admirals that know about
Yeah, but I mean, they
control
have
and stuff.
files. Most probably,
Yeah.
they put down some laws. Like I don't know. You'd suspect them to do so, and I feel like even now we know the limit of AI, and I feel that in the future we're not gonna like pass this limitation. Like AI will always be more limited than a human. I'm pretty sure that we're good at imitating, you know, life and reflection. But again, when it comes to intuition, seeing new patterns, something that like we kind of come up with, and working in group too, learning from each other. I don't know. I feel weird that suddenly Starfleet is like super into AI so much that they're gonna retire like so many crew of people, knowing that AI is not new at that time, right? Like it's not a new thing at all. So I was about the plot, and I mean, but just I don't know. And the Rutherford thing, I thought it was like very cool that they tie it in and they finally closed that chapter, because I don't think they could like really go very far with it now that they revealed so much of it. So it was cool that they managed to clean it up before season 3. I liked it. It was cool. And the other thing too is like, okay, Tandy stopped for life. It's interesting that it's not programmed into the AI to check it up. You'd feel like it's one of the checklists that they do on the planet. Why isn't it programmed
Well,
in the
I would say think about what's happening and partly who is responsible for building that code. Some cadet who didn't really care about being in Starfleet that much, who was building racers
True.
at that point on the side,
Yeah.
probably doesn't have all the moral implications of the Prime Directive like drilled into his head yet. So
Well,
I
think they go through a checklist when they go on
do you
the
think?
planet,
But
no?
Buenamigo was already cutting corners. I mean that
Yeah.
early on in the project. So I completely understand that not being written.
Also,
in,
the
like,
bird doctor said that. Not the bird doctor. Ta'ana.
Niglimo.
No, Ta'ana said that that tricorders had a hard time distinguishing that type of life too. So
yeah.
maybe any sort of technology, unless it's like interpreted by a scientist, would not
And
know.
the other thing that kind of like made me sad is that they use that technicality to save the Cali class. I mean, like, couldn't they realize that just it was wrong to do that?
I mean, as
Just, like,
they
maybe
should, right?
okay, but like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my computer is dying because I forgot to plug it in. So
Oh yes, please do that. I know that we talked about, like, I think we all kind of agreed we wanted it wrapped up this season. Rutherford's implant stuff, they'd been teasing it for a couple of seasons now. I'm happy with the resolution. I always like a bad Admiral. I like the trope, so it works out for me. I want to read Joe's comment over on YouTube right now. I'm sure there's more Rutherford implant stuff to come. He said he's still finding menus for it. And I was gonna say, while Giraffe was speaking, I was thinking about, well, I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not maybe connected to the Section 31 subplot with William Boimler, but who knows? Like maybe Buenamigo was a pawn for them. So there's still more that they can do with it. So I really like it. I like that, and I'll talk about this in my season review later, but I'm really disappointed that Tendi didn't have a lot to do this season. And even though she doesn't have a lot to do in this episode, what she does do is massive for making sure like the Cali class stays, in the fleet. So even though it's not, she's not like prominently featured in the episode, her presence is hugely felt. And I really appreciated that. And she's my favorite character. So I'm glad that she got something here. And of course, we'll talk about the end, but like to Lynn. So yeah, speaking of bad admirals, it turns out that Buamigo is a straight up bad admiral, the worst of the worst, setting up the Cerritos the entire season. Duh. What did we think though about his quick demise at the hands of his own project, Matthew?
Pretty fitting. I don't think they could have done it any other way. I mean, it makes sense. It really makes sense for him to die right away, especially considering what we know about, I guess, the core of the Alito, essentially, and its dislike of father figures. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense that would be target number one, is taking out Big Papa Badmiral.
Yeah. Not the Papa Bear.
Yeah.
No, not Papa Bear, but
No.
yeah.
No. Yeah.
Bad Daddy Badmiral.
So it makes so much sense. The badginess, like, full out just came out. I love that. I wish it was dude guy from
The
Parks and
voice
Rec.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome, but I understood where, like, they wanted that reveal at the end to be special. So, makes sense. I liked it.
Yeah. Hawk.
Again, a very satisfying ending, especially him unleashing a dangerous, untested AI with daddy issues that recognizes him as its Dr. Frankenstein, which makes Chris's earlier callback equally,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That said, for an animated series, they really kind of took it to the edge as far as like the loss of human life and the way that we're showing it, like him getting vaporized and then like sections of the whole space station being vaporized and the people inside just getting consumed.
That part was pretty intense.
It was really
That was kind of
intense.
shocking.
Yeah.
There were points when it looked like they were getting sucked out. Like, I thought I
Yeah.
saw people going,
Yeah.
"Whoop,"
A
and I
la,
was like,
a la
"Oh."
Star Trek 09 on the
Yeah.
Kelvin.
Kind of weird how sometimes, like, especially for the, I guess we'll probably get this a little later on, but like with the season finales and especially with Lower Decks, it's like they always got to kind of go real big with them, and that means like suddenly we go from this comedy show to enormous stakes, people dying left and right. Yeah, I can write about that later on. I think I will, but I'm just bringing it up now just as a point since we're talking about people getting sucked
Fair.
out of things.
Fair. Giraffe.
I
Oh, sorry, Hawk. Were you done?
No, I'm all good.
I actually really like that part. Like, for me, I think it was really good that they showed how bad it was somehow. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a show for kids, so we're not dumb. Like, if they're like blowing up a station, people are gonna die, and I'm here for like the villain to be blown off to space. Like just yeah. One trial. Just blow it up.
So that space station was his Alamo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. I loved this moment so much. I made a gif out of it. It is so brutal. You literally see before he gets vaporized, like the whole side of his body just like explode. It's such a brutal scene and such a good way for a Admiral to go. It's almost better than butt bugs. But that guy also wasn't an admiral, but there were Badmirals. So many Badmirals. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's interesting though, even though we see so many people die and get destroyed by the Texas class, or that I think it's the Alameda, how fortified those space stocks are, right? Like those things are fortresses. You could fire on the towers and you could fire on the outside, but ships inside or whatever's like in the actual dock, I mean, you're not getting through there. Those things are pretty well shielded. I thought that was really impressive to see like later on in the episode. So really cool moment. Great way for a bad guy to go out. We're going to come back to the big battle, but first let's move into one of the B, C plots. And that's Boim and Shaxs. Early in the episode, Boims is impersonating Shaxs. They're trying to like let off some steam because they think they're all going to get transferred. And Shaxs unfortunately walks in at the worst possible time. Boimler's impersonating him about talking about profits more than the Ferengi, and it just like deeply hurts and offends, our fearless leader of the Bear Pack. And it's just like this awful moment. But then all the episode, Boimler's trying to, make it up. But then as Cerritos is at warp trying to outrun the Alameda, Boimler just tells everyone to shut the fuck up and listen to Shaxs, who suggests, like he does every episode, to eject the warp core. Shaxs then gets to live his lifelong dream in an awesome moment, and Boimler joins the Bear Pack. What do we think about this plot, Matthew?
Well, ejecting the warp core was absolutely the highlight for that.
Yes.
As far as that subplot, though, I mean, Shaxs hasn't done much this season either. And so it kind of felt like I got to do something with him here. So for me, honestly, it was cute, but kind of forgettable.
Yep.
Didn't really do much other than just... No, actually, no, didn't really do much at all. I mean, yeah, like, Boimler's in the Bear Pack, but like, okay, that means what now? Like, does he get to use the special bathroom in the executive floor? Like, I don't know what that means. It's just cute. The warp core was way more fun.
There's a very special group of people and commanders and lieutenants who've gotten to eject the warp core. It's not many. Michael gave the order in Discovery. Riker gave it in Insurrection, and Shaxs gave it here. I think that's all the warp core
it's threatened a
ejections
lot in the
we've
shows,
seen.
but
it is
yeah.
threatened a lot. So, I mean, he's in a very special group. So,
Much more special than the baby bears.
oh, man. Ouch.
Whoa. Bear
Get
pack
off my
hater.
bridge.
You get one of those. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this this storyline when I first watched this episode, unfortunately, because I love the sequence when he's running down the hallway and everyone's like, "Go, Shaxs, go!" It was such a cute, like Rudy-esque moment. I love Boimler's impersonations at the beginning. I thought that was hilarious.
I have to go back to Barcelona.
And he outright like foreshadows the whole ejecting the warp core at that moment, because he says that in Shaxs' voice. So when it actually happens at the end, it's such a nice moment for Boimler to stand up, because he doesn't stand up for most things.
Well, bold Boimler though
does,
yeah,
but he hasn't pulled that out in a while, and he didn't say bold Boimler before he said it. So
true.
I don't
Good
believe
point.
him. Boimler joining the Bear Pack, I guess that's cool. I like that when it was Rutherford and Shaxs only. We'll see how it goes next season.
Oh man, Hog.
So this is definitely the best comedic part of the episode, especially Shaxs and alternating like angry hurt versus his sad hurt, which just seemed to wildly fluctuate between the two, and I just kind of love seeing that from the character. And the victory run to the engine room with him cheering on was definitely, is that from Rudy? Like, I know you see that kind of sequence
so
in
many
a lot
things,
of things.
right?
Yeah.
So many things. It's like the
Generic
run up to
sports.
Mount Doom in Return of the King. Like it's in everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That was maybe a bad example, but I just wanted to
No high fiving during that.
No.
But I do agree with Matt. They haven't done enough with Shaxs this season, and the stuff they had him in was definitely like so memorable, especially like holodeck bank heists, sex games with Tavana. Yes. But yeah,
Diane.
I want to see more Shaxs.
Yeah. Treff.
I liked it.
Yeah,
Good.
I did
Okay,
too.
it's not epic. Okay, it's not like meeting the great koala, but I think it's a good character development for Shaxs. We've seen him already being this a little bit like not fragile, but seeing that he has trouble on how people see him, on what people say about him. I think it's a great sign of leadership. He is like sad that the ensign is mean to him, but creates a relationship. And Bold Boimler, his whole thing was to have a trek buddy, a bridge buddy. So I'm very tired.
Don't we all want a Trek buddy?
We're all Trek buddies here.
Wait, isn't that this podcast?
I meant people on the show.
oh yeah.
And same. They closed that arc, right?
Yeah.
He has a bridge buddy. Boyd Boimler happened to actually be a good thing for Boimler. Cool.
And you know what? And that's what I want to talk about. There was hesitation from Mariner and Tendi early in the season. Like this is not sustainable, they say. But it has been sustainable for Boimler, and he's gotten the respect of almost every single bridge officer.
It works for him.
Ransom respects him now after he went apeshit on the planet at the tent, even though he got put in the brig. But they're like, dude, like you stuck up for Starfleet. That's awesome. And then Shaxs is like, dude, you're in the Bear Pack. But you don't notice it in this episode. But even though he tells, maybe not the right words, he tells the bridge crew to shut up. Carol respects him at the end of that because everybody was talking over each other. And he's like, listen to your fucking security officer. This is why you don't pay him the big bucks. Like, this is what he's here to do. For once, ejecting the warp core is a good suggestion. So now he has the ear and the respect of the captain. And I think that's a really big moment. A couple of comments I want to read on Twitch. From Colin, I like that Shaxs lets his vulnerability show. It makes me like him more. And that's something Fred talked to us about on the pod a few weeks ago. How, Shaxs has this exterior of being like Bajoran warrior, I fought in the resistance. But dude, this man is uber connected to the prophets. And I think he wants people to know that more. So that's a great point by Colin. And then MC writes, I think we got bold Boimler in that he was willing to tell the captain to shut up. That is a huge deal. Yeah, I mean, it is, as I was saying, like, that's him, like, having his moment. Like, we talked about how, you know, maybe they're not going to promote them immediately, but, like, I feel like by the end of this season, and I'm getting into our season wrap up now, but I want to say it anyway, all of our officers are maybe at a point where when those talks of promotions do come up, they're on the short list. So I think that is progress from seasons 1 and 2.
I think that I don't know when I say that. I don't think it was bold Boimler saying it. I think it's Boimler starting, because usually he's like, what would bold Boimler do? And then he'd do it, right? This just came out of him. I think it's more getting integrated into his personality. Like, it's not bold Boimler, it's just Boimler now.
This is Boimler's evolution.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep.
I think it's just who he is, and it's kind of the same with like all the crewmen right now, is that they're all kind of like finding themselves and taking off their masks of who they think they need to be.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen them all kind of breaking away. I mean, especially, I feel like Rutherford might have been the biggest one this season. They're all kind of just shedding their skin of who they think they need to be to get where they are, versus letting themselves be themselves to then eventually rank up.
I know that they're taking off their masks, Matthew, but we don't want any more masks on the Cerritos, please. No more masks,
Okay.
please. Oh man. On to our next point. Mariner gonna Mariner. Seems to be having a great time doing the whole Indiana Jones thing with Petra, but you can't take the Starfleet out of her. Her dad's an admiral, her mother's a captain, and when Petra doesn't share who's footing the bill for all these excursions, Mariner gets suspicious. It's just in her nature. Excuse me. Beers. Finale beers. It turns out it's no biggie at all, and that Jean-Luc is funding the whole thing with that Chateau Picard money. Because I mean, listen, if anybody in the Star Trek universe is making money, it's Jean-Luc Picard, because he doesn't just, you know, make the wine for people on Earth. Like, that's getting sold to like Quarks, and he's making Latinum. I mean, don't think he's not.
He's money, baby.
Dude,
Putting
Jean-Luc.
what bill with what money? I'm so confused in this.
Well, he's like
universe.
funding them to have. He's probably paying in Latinum to fund like the collectors because he is getting paid for where Chateau Picard goes other than Earth. So, and wine's not cheap, man.
I thought everything was free.
But only in the Federation, right?
Only in the Federation.
Yeah, okay.
You got to think
so-
non-Federation worlds buy Chateau Picard too. It's a famous wine.
And that's how he gets space pirates to buy him cool stuff.
That's right. And then go, you know, what do you call
Belongs
it?
in a museum.
Yes, it belongs in a museum. Yes, exactly.
I have a fecal question on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Not allowed. Not allowed. By the end of the episode, she's already reinstated because, of course, she is. Was this too quick a turnaround, or did we always kind of know she was going to just come back right away, Matthew?
Would have been cool if they had made it the cliffhanger this season, but nah, we always knew she would have came back. They totally could have padded out and made it be like, you know, even 2 or 3 episodes into the next season, but meh, who cares? They got other stuff to do. It's not really that kind of a show. So yeah, you know, again, like I kind of said earlier in this episode review, things move very quick in Lower Decks. To go on a weird little tangent right now, I just read the new IDW Star Trek comic, and that first issue, that's the one with Cisco coming back.
Wait,
and
it's out?
It came out yesterday.
It came out.
Wait,
yesterday, I think,
Tuesday.
Yep.
Tuesday? Yeah.
I thought it was November. Oh,
no, it just came out.
Damn.
And so I'm not going to say anything what's inside it because everybody should go check it out. But it moves very quickly. And I would say it in the same way of this episode of Lower Decks too, is that it's not rushed. They're not like really cutting to the chase or anything, even though things move very quickly. So that's just kind of what they're doing here. They're moving things very quickly because by next season, this really won't even matter and probably will never be talked about again.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Eric?
So when they said that Picard was funding the whole thing, and what's her name, Petra, says that guy likes mummies more than mummies or something like that.
More than Mariner. Mummies.
I was sitting there, I was like, is this a Beverly Crusher joke? Because she was a mummy too. Is it a double entendre joke about him liking moms?
Thank you.
Oh,
I want to know what the hell is going on.
Yep.
Thank you. I was gonna ask you to push that button.
Nope. That's there. Anyway,
I was following that train of thought. I was with you.
yeah. I knew it was gonna get resolved. This is one of those things like she's gonna come back and save the day, and then she's gonna join Starfleet, and everyone's gonna be like, "Yay, she's back in Starfleet." Yeah, that it was predictable for me, but I like that she didn't trust what was going on, and she was always trying to find a way to get back to Starfleet because that's where her home is. That's where her family is.
Indeed.
And mommy jokes.
And mommy jokes. Jesus Christ. Hawk.
It definitely felt like quick turnaround for because these were all these nagging doubts about Mariner's future and her resolve to either remain in Starfleet or go it alone and that. But we always knew she would eventually make her way back to the crew and that. If not this episode, possibly the first episode of next season. If they were actually really committed to exploring this plot line, they probably would have had her leave at least 2 episodes ago. I think Matt said the same thing.
Yeah.
In order, to really explore it and give her kind of a wider view. It was still, that said, it was still great to have her be the one to save the day, and it was a huge Mariner moment when she strolled into 10 forward. Speaking of which, she totally ghosted the Jennifer on her way in, and
Yes.
Well deserved ghosting,
I know.
by the way.
Good
Fuck
job.
yeah.
but we never really got any closure on that aspect of the story and that. So
You don't need closure on
You don't
it.
need
Jennifer
closure.
Jennifer
Fuck
was
that,
a
yeah.
B, man.
She done
You don't-
fucked up.
Yeah,
She done
absolutely.
fuck.
That
Thank
was-
you, Eric. God
That's
damn.
not okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So goodbye, Jennifer.
Goodbye, Jennifer. We hardly knew ye.
All right.
That's where Tallinn comes in.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh.
I have a theory about Tallinn.
Could it be bunnies?
Damn it.
Ah.
I texted Julian about it, and he was like, "What?"
You need to clip that from the Buffy show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will. It'll happen.
What were we saying?
Mariner being Mariner.
Yeah, okay. So I feel this finale is a good pendant of their premiere. It's way too easy, way too neat, way too fast. Which, okay, they need to close their season. I understand. But you had 10 episodes, right? You could have closed like something a little bit earlier. You could have started some stuff a little bit earlier,
Could have
Like-
not done the peanut hamper episode.
knock this one out. Yeah, you could have one more episode, It feels a little bit too easy, all these resolutions all at the same time. We're all a great happy family, it's all perfect in the better of the world. And I'm like, slower deck, it's supposed to be a bit messy, a little bit more human, in the idea that would be a very Star Trek thing to finish a season, like live action Star Trek, we solved everything. And a little bit like Discovery did in season 4, right? Like 1 episode and everything is solved, everybody's alive, everybody's well, clap, clap, clap. Next season, we don't know what's gonna happen. So Lower Deck gave me more a habit of having kind of a messy arcs,
Mm-hmm.
which I liked. And right now, so she is an archaeologist for an episode and a half, and then she comes back and everything's forgotten. Everything is too easy. And you know what? There was one thing that I was really hoping for is when they drop out of warp and get knocked out. I was like, please finish the episode here with shot of them in live action and don't say anything until the crossover in Strange New World. I would have.
I know a lot of people. I know I've read that a lot. I know a lot
yeah?
of people who. Yeah. I know a lot of people
Oh,
who.
I feel less alone. Okay.
No. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who wanted this episode. I think I wanted this episode to end like that a little bit. It would have been the
Yeah.
perfect cliffhanger, because we're gonna get Strange New World season 2 before we get Lower Deck season 4. So
Yeah,
that would have
absolutely.
been
That was
perfect.
perfect, and that would be and just them standing up on the bridge, and they're all live action, and that's all,
yeah.
and that's all, and then you can go back to oh, it's all resolved and blah blah blah, but have one shot that actually teases us for something coming next, because I think we're gonna speak about the tease, but the tease was weak.
Yeah, I would agree.
week.
I would agree. Yeah,
I'm like,
we are
leave me alone with this
gonna.
freaking AI. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm done with them. So I feel there's like some opportunities to actually grow the characters. Like they grow them, they give them like more angles, and then in this episode they basically closed all the doors, every single one of them. Pam 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 pam.
Yep.
Okay, we're back on the story door, square one. Let's go again. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, why? What are we doing next? What's my incentive to watch next season?
Yeah.
Don't tell Badgie because no.
No.
It'd be Boimler too. I can't remember his name.
William.
Yes.
Yes.
That would have
William.
been, I'm sorry, but that would have been a better end of the finale than the Badgie one.
True. Agreed. I'm gonna save my thoughts for the next part because I want to talk about this. It's kind of a segue onto the same subject. You know, when they're in the Cerritos lounge and everybody's smiling and happy, Carol and Mariner are hugging. But I think we need to talk about where the relationship goes from here, because I do think that Mike McMahon is smarter than this. And I kind of worded that wrong. This isn't me knocking McMahon. I like this finale a lot, but I think that he knows what he's doing, making it seem happy-go-lucky right now. Do you think that there's animosity that's just being kind of covered up right now, and that they're going to have some words and issues next season, Matthew?
Unfortunately, because it's lower decks, I don't think we're going to get that kind of depth from the show. I feel like it's going to be back to square one. Maybe Carol will respect her daughter a little bit more, and I feel like each season she does.
Yeah.
And I feel like likewise, Mariner is learning to respect her mom as an admiral more and more also, and they're slowly rebuilding their relationship. So over time, things are definitely going to keep improving, but we'll be back to status quo season 4 premiere. She's going to do something crazy again, and we'll be right back to where we were, and that's fine. It's lower decks.
I have a draft size theory. So,
Ooh.
it is. I think it's
These
gonna.
are babies.
It is. It's all about the lizard baby. So I think that it's going to be this happiness for the first little bit of the season until William Boimler takes over Brad Boimler's spot and causes animosity between the two.
Oh.
And then we'll be back to the fun craziness.
Didn't we talk about this already?
Did we? I don't recall.
Yeah, Bad Boimler taking Boimler's place.
I think
we
may
talked
have-
about it like last season, didn't we? Or
No,
This season we talked about
Okay.
it, but I didn't. But
Yeah.
but that could have been for anything. I think his cause would be to cause that ship wide, because a lot of the chaos happens when those two are fighting, and if everything's like perfect for the first couple episodes between everyone and their adventures are just funny because they're, I don't know, running into crystalline creatures or whatnot. I think it would be cool. Yeah, but it will stay for a bit.
Hawk.
No, I think this is part of Mariner's growth, and that like, even though she has this very complex relationship with her mom, but her growth is that it's like she knows that she can always come back to her, and that I guess she knew her mom was sorry in that, and Carol knew she had screwed up royally in that, and I think it was actually big of Mariner not to drag it out and say, hey, whatever. I
agree.
I gave you lots of reasons in that to not trust me.
I wonder if we explore her father next season or going forward, right? Because we haven't really.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that too. Yeah, because he hasn't been around much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hawk.
Draft or Hawk draft, whoever's.
Oh no. I'm gonna be that person, but I'm fucking done.
I know.
I am so done with this always over again, same way of closing stories. You have a parent that has done something terrible to their kid. That was more than a dick move. That was actually such a breach of trust. Like, I don't think there's anything Mariner could have done that was bad enough to throw her into Starbase 80 without talking to her, without giving her the benefit of doubt, without even asking to talk to the journalist or to watch the thing. That was a terrible thing Carol did. Terrible. And again, we have the kid just being, it's all good, it was my fault. And I'm like, no, we need to stop doing this. We need to stop being, oh, that's very big of her. No, I'm not. No, like there's a big difference between forgiving somebody that did a mistake and just accepting like absolute berserk attitude from a parent because Mariner did things when she was young that was crazy. She was a kid. That's her mother. There's not the same rules when it comes to kids are supposed to be pain in the ass. That's what they do. That's how they are. And even if she's an adult, yes, right? Like you're the adult. You're here to protect them. You're here to do the good thing. You need to give them the benefit of that. You bring them here. You have to deal with them. And what Carol did was so absolutely terrible that I was so pissed because I said last time, you remember I said, I swear, if Mariner comes back and be like, it's okay, it's my fault, I'm gonna be pissed.
And
like,
me and Hawk were laughing to ourselves.
It's again and again the same attitude that is like shown on TV. And I'm somebody that had not a good parent. And you know too, Julian. And there's a point where it's important to show people that it's important to like hold your ground as an adult, even if you're the kid. And sometimes say, this is not okay what you did to me. You should not have done that. And maybe I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to pretend that this thing didn't happen. And I'm not going to pretend that you didn't put me into harm's way, that you didn't throw me in a place where I could have died, where you didn't throw me without even asking me what I've done, without giving me the benefit of a doubt. And I do think this is harming viewers to keep repeating the same pattern over and over again of kids excusing their parents' abuse, bad attitude, bad decision, or just putting them into harm. And I know Lower Deck is supposed to be funny, but a lot of people watch it, and I know that when I watch that, I'm like, fuck that. I'm sorry.
Comedies, sorry, Drev. Comedies can be funny and hilarious and still have really big, important moments. I'm not saying by any means that Friends is a shining example of like good television, because that show has like race and sexism and homophobia issues, but like that show dealt with serious issues. Mom deals with serious issues. I mean, I can go
but
on.
You could
like
even go with
Frasier. Like
you can go with animation too, right?
And animation,
look like Legend of Korra.
She-Ra,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and she ignored Jennifer, and I was like, that's good.
That's
good. You know what?
Yep.
Move on, girl. Move on. But that,
especially
you know
after Jennifer was like, I like you for the way you are. Like, I like when you like, talk people down, and then.
I think the thing that really like pissed me off is when she says, I gave you reason to do that. I was like, no. You never give reason for people to put you in a place where you can be hurt. This is not good way to write this. I don't agree with this at all. Especially because Marina has been so good during this season. She's tried so hard. She worked hard. She tried to prove herself. And she didn't even get a second of, doubt. Nothing from her mother. Yeah. So be better, writers. Be better. And what did I send you, Julian? I was like, this was written by people who had good and responsible parents.
Exactly.
I can tell you.
Yep. So I'm at like this, and I wanted to talk about this too. I'm like at 75% of where Giraffe is, because I too had bad parenting situations, and I had parents who very much did. I'll do a little sharing right now. When I was in a really hard place when I was young, I wasn't doing well in school. It was my freshman year of high school. My grandmother was dying. I didn't know like where I was going to be. No one was telling me anything. No one was communicating with me. And instead of asking me how I was doing, they were just, worrying about each other. And I ended up really screwing up and failing at everything. And instead of asking me how I was doing and like putting me in therapy, even though I've done a lot of therapy, instead of doing that, they just fucking sent me away to basically their version of Starbase 80. So I'm the Mariner in this situation. I've been to Starbase 80. It fucking sucks. What Carol did is reprehensible. It's bullshit. Like, what she should have done is what she promised at the beginning of the season. one more fuck up and you're out of Starfleet. That would have been the better choice than just sending her to a dangerous situation. Like, demote her, put her back in the academy, make her resign from Starfleet, but don't send her to a hellhole. That's just shitty parenting, period, end of story. That being said, I said this a few seconds ago, I'm the Mariner in this situation. I fucked up a lot. I did some bad shit. I stole, I didn't go to school. I did bad things. So while I get what Giraffe is saying about like, well, apologizing for the parents' mistake. I get Mariner's point of view to a point, because whether Carol fucked up or not, Mariner has also done her fair share of fucking up, and I've done my fair share of fucking up. So I think what Hawk said was actually perfect. Mariner just kind of, at least for the moment, maybe it gets brought up next season, Mariner for the moment just being like, all right, it's fine. I'm going to work with Ransom, reinstate me. I'll give you a hug now. We'll work this shit out later. I get it. I'm fine with it. But what Carol did this season was not cool. And I think Lower Decks does have some depth. And I think we are going to get to deal with this a little bit more next season. At least I hope we do. Like I said, Mike McMahon's smart. I think that we do get more of this. So, yeah, we'll see. Anything else? Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah, because like you guys have your own personal experiences with it, but I kind of feel like, unfortunately, I don't think the Lower Deck. I don't remember who wrote this episode, but I feel like they weren't looking at it with nearly as much depth as you guys are, because it really was just treated as a plot point, because we know that their relationship has been so strained since season 1, and that it hasn't really changed, even though it kind of ebbs and flows. But I think, like, from the writing perspective, I think it's just bad writing in the use of a trope, which is the lack of communication trope. And it's a terrible trope. Giraffe, you mentioned that too a little bit. I think was just how it's something we see so much in TV and also in film. It's just like the little bit of missing information that would have solved that thing right on the spot. Nah, we're not going to do it. We're just going to make this big dramatic fight about it and never actually reach that point. It's really stupid. It's really lazy. It's one of the things that really bothered me the most about this episode, not on a level that you guys had personally, but just as like a writing kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
that too.
Well, it's one of
By
those.
Ben M. Waller.
Well, it's one of those things where they're like, we only have a certain amount of time. We need to wrap this up without adding more depth to this, so that we can just get to the ending. Right? It's such a fast way to.
I've been sorry, Eric. I have to interrupt you real quick. I know I've been saying I'm not shit talking Mike McMahon, but since we are shit talking the writing choices here, I am going to say that this episode was written by Mike McMahon. So for fair use, we're putting that. And listen, this episode's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there.
But yeah, it's one of those good things where like they're at the end of the season, they want to get this over with, and they need to move on to next season. If they add more depth to next season, we'll see. But it was a point on their checklist that they had to get to so that they could move forward really fast.
I mean, here's the thing I kind of view it as is like, Mike McMahon is from that Rick and Morty world, right? But Rick and Morty has very flawed characters.
Yeah.
Star Trek, Lower Decks, we don't get flawed characters. Really, no one's that flawed. I mean, you could say there's the strained relationship, but like Giraffe mentioned also, by the end of it, everybody's like, all happy family again. Everybody's talking about how they're such a great family. It's all utopia and all this great stuff. Yeah. And, I kind of want to jump over just a second to like a little nitpick I have with, I guess, comparison between Discovery and Lower Decks here. So like for me, one of the things that bugged me last season about Discovery was Burnham and Book, and how, quite honestly, if they just had one conversation, most of that season would have gone very differently. It would have gone extremely differently. And people pick that apart in great depth on the YouTubes and the interwebs out there. And to me, it feels like this episode gets a pass because it's Lower Decks, and that bugs me also. It shouldn't, because this really does kind of fall under lazy writing. As much fun as this episode was, because it was a lot of fun, it does kind of treat this subject matter like it's silly nonsense, and by the end of it, none of it matters. That's kind of my soapbox moment there. And the chat can let me know what they think about this too. Like, if this happened on Discovery, we'd be hearing a lot more complaints about it, I feel like, as opposed to this one show where it only takes up 22 minutes of your life every week.
Yep.
Well, except that we watch it like 5 times each episode. So.
Yeah,
that's true too. Yeah. Anything else on the Mariner Carol? Yeah, go ahead.
No. I thought no. Sorry.
Oh,
I was Eric.
It's strange when you bring up like Rick and Morty and like Mike McMahon also works on Solar Opposites. The parent-child relationships in both of those, like they're strained and they last for seasons. Like they may make up, but then like when conflict happens, it happens and it lasts and there are repercussions to it. So, yeah, so I understand why that would bother you.
There's no real consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Solar opposites, and that. In fact, there was an episode where Child Protective Services entered their home and couldn't distinguish who the children were and who the adults were.
Yeah.
Jesus. On to more fun Star Trek things, even though I do love family drama quite a bit. I guess it's because family drama. We get our big giant set piece space battle because of course we do. The Alameda goes on the warpath doing heavy damage to the starbase like we talked about earlier. And the Sovereign class Van Sitters, which we're going to talk about later, very cool Easter egg. After Shaxs gets to eject the warp core, the Alameda survives somehow, by the way. We'll let it happen. We'll let it go. And is about to take the killing blow on the Cerritos, but Mariner jumps out of warp with literally every single Cali class vessel, and I love fucking Boimler in this moment, listing every major California's draft USS San Diego, baby. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need a job.
Every single Cali class vessel in tow to help in the fight. What did we think about the final battle and that Badgie reveal, right? I said before the credits, but it's after the credits. A lot of people missed it, apparently. Matthew.
This was like early 2000s WWE. This was like right before the invasion angle. Right,
My God, it's so cold. It's so cold.
That's what it was. Everybody's running to ring ECW, WCW, WWE, and then of course Stone Cold shows up. That's what this was. This is just everybody's making their run in, trying to get the big save. It was really cool. It also kind of makes me miss Hero Collector even more now, knowing that we're not going to get these ships in diecast form or anything like that. But that's just the collector nerd in me.
Someone tweeted, who has the money to spend on 30 different California class variants?
Seriously. Variants for days. Yeah, but it was fun. And this is, I guess, the point I wanted to get to.
Your shirt.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Perfect timing. Perfect, sir. You earn a Snickers bar today.
Sweet. I love Snickers.
This kind of goes up to the point I wanted to talk about earlier, which is how, like,
Snickers?
again, maybe a controversial point here, but like every Lower Decks finale has been like this, where we have the big, giant, serious battle. And feels like maybe almost every new Star Trek has been this way, where the finale is obligated to do this same thing again and again and again. This one was pretty cool because I did like the AI twist. And I felt like there's a little more to it. But, there's definitely a lot of suspension of disbelief here, which doesn't get away with it because it's a cartoon. I don't know, because it's still kind of canon, right? If we're going to use that horrible C word. But it's like, Mariner manages to get 30 ships all together, all at once, from who knows where the heck they were, to all do the run-in at the same time. And even dramatically enough that she can then say, "You're not out of the race yet," or whatever she says, like right before, they all show up. It's like she even knows the line. Somehow she's on that communication to hear all that. So I'm not going to nitpick that because it's just silly. It's cartoon fun. But I enjoyed every moment of it. It was great tension, good TV, fun stuff. Just maybe a little too wacky, a little too zany at times. And that's a lot of ships. It's a lot of the same ships showing up all at once.
It is. Did you want to read something first, Julian?
No, I loved all this shit. Okay. I loved all the ships.
Yeah, I loved all the ships. But first, I love that they played off their own cliche, though, that, a Sovereign class comes in and you think it's going to save the day, but nope, it's there to get fucked up. So that was so awesome. And then we get all those California class ships, and this is the only time in Star Trek where it's okay to copy and paste the starship in a final battle.
I agree.
Ooh, we had to bring that back up.
We did.
I was thinking the same thing too, though. I was thinking that, and I was like, all right, this is cool, though. This actually makes sense. This works.
It looks good, too. Like, the battle actually looked good in animation form. That being said, I love space battles. I love seeing the Alameda just try to get a shot in on the Cerritos and all the Cali class and Mariner's little ship, I guess, coming to save the day. It was cool. I thought it was nice. I expect a space battle at the end of Lower Decks now, I guess. So maybe next year they'll surprise us.
I kind of would like if they did maybe just once, just break from the norm a little bit.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of room for it to break from the norm, but personally, the final battle was great. I totally expected it to come. I loved it, especially the Texas Class AI voice. It has that creepy, cold, emotionless howl kind of tone to it.
Was it not the same actor as
It probably was, but he downplayed. Yeah, he has. Buenamigo has
Buenamigo.
the flair. And this thing was just, I will burn your heart out in a fire.
Which is a Badgie line, isn't it?
It is a Badgie line, yeah. The action was great, but man, the Cerritos always ends up getting crippled by the end of every battle.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. So the arrival of the whole Cali class fleet, that was great. I like that moment. It was just that big cheer moment.
It was nice seeing the old captains that we had seen so far in this series, right?
Yeah.
I recognized the voice of the Bullion captain, by the way, and I loved his line. He sounded like the guy who plays is it Hephaestus in Eternals? Not Hephaestus, Festus.
Maybe.
The guy who builds
I know
all
who you're
the things.
talking about, but I can't remember his name.
Fester?
It sounded exactly like him. I don't remember the actor's name. Sorry. Anyway.
That's cool. The end credit scene. I think some people are confused. That takes place in the Callus system, right? This is the from the end of season 1.
Dude, they're rehashing the same fucking system for 3 different plot points.
Okay.
The Pack Leads, Peanut Hamper, and now Badgie. Yeah.
I didn't even talk about the end credit thing.
Yep.
It's Boimler,
That's what
right?
we're talking about. Yeah.
It's Boimler.
Sorry?
It's going to be Boimler, right? Section 31 getting it?
Badgie.
Actually, no, I don't know because Haven pointed.
Borg.
Yeah, Haven pointed that out in the chat that it looked and sounded like the Borg.
Yeah,
found it.
I'm convinced it's the Borg.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the green light. Yeah, so we're gonna get like a new collective.
Well, Boimler
Badgie has his head.
Yeah.
Boimler needs to
Borg
work
Boimler.
on his time, his better time to escape the Borg.
Yeah,
team.
Excretus of Borg. Maybe this is how Janeway defeats the Borg because it's Badgie and Badgie can't sustain the Borg, right? I don't know. Reaching for straws.
I mean, if a crazy Romulan can blow up a Borg cube just because she's crazy enough, who knows what Badgie's gonna do? Like,
He'll burn their hearts with fire.
Yeah.
Oh, MC brings up another great point. Leave nothing to be forgotten about the Borg who had been called by Peanut Hamper.
mm-hmm.
Oh, very true. Very true.
You know what the season, and I'm gonna let Giraffe go. I swear, next season is totally leading to like the battle of the AI robots.
Yeah, it is.
Peanut Hamper, Agamus, or whatever his name is, Badgie, and the Borg. And
Kitty.
they'll probably put Landru in there for good measure. So.
Well, there's not going to be another Picard season, so they're going to have to get Fred Spider to come back.
Badgie
Yeah,
and Borg.
exactly.
Giraffe and I literally just had this conversation, or no, we all had the conversation on Prodigy, right?
What were we? Oh, the battle. Listen, I don't know what's going on with the timeline in Lower Decks, but I want to understand time in Lower Decks because it's been a year and 3 seasons. Like somehow in 10 minutes she managed to find all the Cali classes to come here to do God knows what. But like when somebody is dying or whole planet is being exploded, like there's only the Enterprise that is always available. Like where the Cali class? What's going on? Like through TNG or whatever.
But they wouldn't call the
There's
Cali
never
class.
anybody
I
available
would.
except the Enterprise. And right now, all the Cali class were like in the same system, all available.
They're just
all
sitting
the-
there.
Well,
No, I think they're very
I-
surprised that anyone called them.
Yeah, right.
I think so.
Like,
I
we're
mean,
just having a coffee. Sure, we'll join. Like what? It's super cheesy, so it's kind of fun, you know. But then I feel it's forced in the idea that we want a super battle, you know. And so far, the battles will always like bring a new ship and like bring back people we wanted to see, like the Titan. You know, that was fun. Like here, it's a bunch of Cali classes, and I'm just like, okay.
I don't know. I loved it.
Like it was fun, but I'm just like, where are we going with this? What are we doing? Like, where's my excitement? Like a bunch of a Cali class ship, and they're defeating that one Texas class. that is an AI, and then sure enough they win, and then what? Like what's next? Like I don't understand why they closed every single door in that finale. Like what are we gonna do after that? So yeah, we go back to being Cali classes and doing second contact. That's what we're doing. We never talk about the Texas class ever again.
No, of course not. It's gonna get thrown under the rug like everything else in Starfleet.
There's
So
no
I'm just-
place for a crew. Why would
there's
they?
there's no place for Admirals.
I mean, the Battle of the Packlet was like so much more epic, to be honest. If you compare it to finales, it's a bit weak.
I don't know. I disagree. I loved Mariner coming in with the Cali classes. I really loved it because we have to remember too, Mariner somehow has dirt on like everyone in Starfleet. Dude, like Will Riker owes her shit. Like that's a big deal. So like it's not out of the like I'm not suspending my disbelief at all when she calls in the favor. Like she was a lower decker with she was a lower decker with the Bolian ensign who somehow became a fucking captain. She's best friends with one of the captains of the ship. Her mom is a bug version of herself on one of the other ships. Like she's got contraband all throughout the Cerritos that's probably been given to her by other captains. Like Mariner, despite being an ensign, is a big fucking deal in Starfleet. So
It's gonna take more time to rally all these people, even like to call in the favors. Like
yeah, and I think that's like where you get to the point where like again, this isn't Discovery, this isn't Strange New Worlds, this is an animated show. We're gonna speed things up a little bit for the sake of television. I get it.
But they could have like one episode less without Peanut Hamper and add an episode in this and made it like an
I don't
actual
disagree. I
suspense.
think the Peanut Hamper episode could have just been thrown out the airlock, but alas, like here we are. I liked it. I loved seeing all the Cali class. I loved that it wasn't a Titan as much as I fucking love the Sovereign class. It was
Could have
cool to
been
see a
another
big ship
ship,
get
though.
blown up. No, like okay, what ship? It would have been a Titan again.
You're asking me about ships?
Well, you just said it
The
could have been another
Enterprise.
ship. I'm putting you on the
Bring
spot.
in the Enterprise.
Fuck.
Where's the Enterprise? Come on, show me.
They're
the
saving that
Enterprise.
for the final season.
They can't just bring that out for
They
just
can't
anything.
you can't just bring the Enterprise.
It'll be next season just to to get Picard.
We are getting the Enterprise next season
Yeah.
during the crossover. Come on.
Also,
Jeff.
Kang Wei brings up a great point. If they had agreed to decommission them, Starfleet could have issued a recall order for all these ships and that. So they might have been sitting around and that waiting on their
Very
orders.
good point. A very good point.
Okay,
Anyway, I loved it.
I'll give that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Badgie thing I don't care about unless they do something really cool with Badgie, and I fucking love Badgie. That being said, it better be like
The
again
Borgs.
the battle of like the AI bots. That would be cool. Final thoughts on this episode, guys. We didn't bring her up because it was just a tease, but Talin. Final thoughts plus Talin. I know.
They said it was in the
Matthew.
season. She was
I
in the
know.
season. So.
Yo, in the season. Yeah, Matthew. Go ahead.
Are we talking overall season or just this episode?
No, just this episode. Final thoughts to Lynn,
All right.
whatever you want to say.
I mean, well, I might just be sounding like overly critical of a lot of the elements of this stuff. Lower Decks is still one of my favorites, and I still really enjoyed it. It was just a lot of zany, good times. With Lower Decks, you really shouldn't take things too seriously, I guess. Still, there are plenty of things that bug me enough that it's worth bringing up in the show, but I still really loved what they did here. I had a great time watching it. I do enjoy the ship battles too. So for me, it was really fun, easy watch. I liked where all roads led, if you will. Are there things that could have been a little bit less lazy, or a few things I would have liked to have changed? Totally, for sure. But I'm gonna probably watch the whole season again like next week. So yeah. I'm all good on it.
Yep, exactly.
I have to admit, this show and Strange New Worlds and then Prodigy are probably my three favorite Star Treks now. This episode, this season finale was fun. It was fun. There are lots of cliches, yeah, but animation likes to play on cliches, and this show likes to play on sci-fi and Star Trek cliches. So why not have a little bit of it? That doesn't mean we can't be critical of it. That being said, it was a fun show. It was a fun episode. I liked how much they jammed in this episode. I don't know how they could have added any more. To Lynn being at the end was, oh, Mike McMahon, man. Oh, saying that she's in this season and then just having her right at the end. Well done. Well done. I look forward to seeing her next season. That's the cliffhanger I'm more excited for than the Badgie one.
Yep.
A good episode. Like I said, probably not the best finale that we've seen so far on that, but it's still satisfying enough that it had my attention throughout the whole thing. We got to Lynn, and it looks like Tendi is getting a new best friend next season.
Love it.
Yeah.
Giraffe.
So I like the episode, let's be honest. It was a fun double episode. A very cliche, which Lower Decks usually plays on the cliche and furthers them, Here it was just the cliche for cliche's sake, which is a bit
Cliche.
Disappointing, let's say, but Star Trek. So I like it. There was a lot of tease. I was really expecting more about the archaeology side and the wall like fracture between the characters. It was resolved so fast. I'm still hungry. It could have been an extra episode, to be honest. Teasing archaeology and not doing anything with it. You just use that card. You use that card. That is like a classic Star Trek move, and just.
I also don't think that we've seen the last of Petra, if we're being honest.
No, I hope so, but at least show me a little bit more of at least one adventure. Oh,
yeah.
Give me something. So, good episode. Tulin, I was so happy to see Tulin, and I feel we're getting a new group of lower deckers. So I hope next season we'll introduce a new group of lower decker when the others are like middle managers.
Chief Science Officer Tendi bossing around Tulin.
I want to say something though, because MC is gonna kill me if I don't say it. But there's one thing about Vulcan that the science officer should know, is that you do not touch their hands. You don't. That's how they kiss. You don't touch their hands. You don't touch Vulcan hands. That's how they meld. And Tulin knows that. She's a science officer. And she grabs her hand. And you see Tulin go like this. But she leaves her hand. So I feel there's going to be a little bit more than friendship, maybe.
Ooh. I dig it. I dig that ship already. I dig it.
Oh, yeah.
I really, you know what? We've been very critical about this episode, but we've also had a lot to good to say about it. At the end of the day, these 2 episodes have been fantastic. I really liked it. On the Tulin front, I'm so happy that we got to see her, but I have a strong feeling that after everybody's like, oh my god, we fucking love Tulin, Mike, we need more Tulin. They probably weren't planning to do with more Tulin, but they're just like, all right, we somehow need to bring. They probably had the season written already. All right, we need to put Tulin
just add a scene
in so people don't rip me a new one, and they did, and it worked out perfectly. So I loved it. We'll get into our rating in just a little bit. I know Joe already put it. I'll read Joe's rating because I love it. 10 out of 10 after credit badgie scenes, calling out everybody in the chat who didn't stay for the end of the credits. Love it. MC, I'm going to get to your point in just a second. Easter egg hunt. Who's got them? Before I go over my list, anybody? Hawk, go ahead.
I'll go first. They mentioned the Beatrice Expanse, and that was first mentioned in Lower Deck Strange Energies. So this is how Star Trek this series is that it's now referencing itself.
Yep.
Billup's name checks data from the Naked Now. Those isolator chips better be a blur.
That's right.
And Archmedic 9, a phase world just like DS9's Meridian.
Yeah,
Nice.
the Van Cedars ship. I was like, okay.
Yep. We'll get to that one.
When do I get a ship?
Yeah, when do I get a ship? Jesus. When do we all get
Dude,
ships?
what?
The music during the Mariner grave robbing sequence is very Indiana Jones-esque.
Yep.
It was well done.
Good job,
there's
Chris
a
Wesley.
joke about the whips too from the last Outpost.
Yep.
I wonder. I read your Van Sitters thing, but I have a different Van Sitters thing.
I did too. I changed
Oh.
it. I changed it because this is the actual one.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah.
So wait, it's not a reference to.
No, it
their,
is. No, it absolutely is because I actually
what's his
because
name?
okay. Let me. So it's John Van Sitters, who's the
Van
VP of Star
Sitters,
Trek
yeah.
brand development, and that is what the Easter egg is. I zoomed in to make sure the spelling is right, but I do have a feeling that the Easter egg is also for legendary animator and director Daryl Van Sitters, which you would kind of hope a little bit too, but it's spelled Citters, which is John Van Sitters, the VP of Star Trek brand development.
They're both.
So.
Daryl Van Sitters is also Citters.
Oh, is it? I thought it was an S.
No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
No. But
Okay.
John's been posting about it all day that it was, for him. So I'm assuming. You know what?
He claims it.
He
Even if
claims
it's
it,
not.
and I'm gonna say it's both.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And it took us way too long to get a Murph plushie. So now that you get a ship, we better get more fun stuff in brand because I'm sorry, I have money. I want to buy stupid Star Trek stuff. I just want to use my money to do that.
Matthew, did you end up getting a plushie?
I did, thanks to my girlfriend. She got it for me. But Giraffe and everybody else out there who should know this, I did talk to the folks over at CBS, whatever, and they are looking to actually get Murph out there in the world. This was essentially a test run. So
Good.
this might not be an exclusive, so I don't know
How did
when.
they not know that was gonna
I know
sell?
that's
Like a
Yeah.
puppet. Where like every time they put things in the show, you're like, that's going to be something they're gonna sell, and they don't do it, and you're like, why not? I'll buy it.
I could do a whole show about Star Trek merch and products and
I think
what's up with them.
If you'd like to come back on, we will do that episode because we talk about it. I think every single week.
Oh,
You want
yeah.
to talk Trek toys, Trek merchandise? I know a whole lot about that. And the biggest things that you'll always hear is like, well, with Trek toys in general, it's like one of the hardest things to sell. But with Trek merchandise, it's like such a weird niche, and yeah, no, I'll save it for another episode. But yeah, no, it is.
You heard
it's
it
a
here
very tough
first.
thing.
We're doing another crossover, and we're
Yeah.
talking Star Trek merch.
I have one
yeah,
more
go ahead.
question. The idea of California versus Texas, was that
Oh my god.
like that's a giant, I don't know if it's an Easter egg. It's very blatant.
But it is.
Yeah.
It is.
talked
And
about it.
Where's
last
Tex Trek
week,
when you
no?
need them?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fathery, let us know too. Yeah, no, that's totally a thing though. It's
Yeah.
got to be. Any other Easter eggs besides my list? All right. Starfleet Academy is obviously shown. It's actually shown in the animated shot that they always show in live action, which is pretty funny in itself. The little lamps used in the briefing room when Carol and Buenamigo are having their meeting are the same exact lamps used in Star Trek 6 when they're talking about the Klingons only having 50 years of life left and Spock volunteering Kirk. You personally vouched? That line I talked about on Prodigy. The TNG uniform on Buenamigo, and this is where I was getting to MC's post. MC was saying how fucked up the timeline is on Lower Decks. How is Rutherford only an ensign if Buenamigo was the lieutenant commander when he had his memory wiped? Like, he's gray and an admiral now, right? Like, continuity is a little messed up.
I thought
here.
Rutherford was like early 30s, and then all that stuff happened to him when he was like early 20s.
But to go from lieutenant commander
No,
to
okay, so
admiral
no,
in
wait.
10 years?
Because we rewatched the first episode the other day for our Scare Trek,
Mhm.
and he says that he got the implant 2 weeks ago
Oh shit.
from the first episode, and he's like, then he's like, oh yeah, it's a new implant. He got it just 2 weeks ago, so that means that she knows him from before the implant.
Or maybe it was
And
an
like
upgrade.
his implant is like 2 weeks before the first.
unless
episode,
they
which is
unless they
basically
implanted
a year
false
ago.
false timeline into it too.
But Tandy says it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's the timeline is whack in Lower Decks. It's a year since free season. It's the same freaking year. Like,
Cartoons.
Yeah, man.
Cartoons.
One
it's
last thing.
weird for
Oh.
the audience though, because we've been watching that for 3 years. I don't say like it has to be 3 years, but it dilutes the story for us. You know?
yeah. Yeah.
Definitely confusing.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's meant to be canon, then it's like, yeah, they do it to be a little bit more clear about timelines
Yeah.
and things.
Agreed.
Looking at the Deep Space Nine on Matthew's on his background, the turrets on the Douglas station are the Deep Space Nine ones, the ones that they installed in
cool.
season 4.
Nice.
If we're speaking of weapons too, I guess it's an Easter egg, but the blasters that the Ferengi were using when they were chasing Mariner, so those weren't the Ferengi blasters, I'm pretty sure. They were colored in their kind of colors, but it looked like they were more like the generic blaster that you'd see in the Berman era Star Trek. It's like the little tiny tube with the little tiny handle.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, they just color swapped it.
Yep. I think that's it for Easter eggs. Let's rate this one out of 10 bad Admiral tropes. Matthew, go ahead.
I'm always terrible at rating things. I have to go first. Ugh. All right. Let me. I'm gonna. I guess I gotta kind of like do the mental math in my head now. I mean, it's definitely not a perfect 10. It's not a 5. I'd probably put it somewhere in like 7.5 or 8. I still enjoyed it a lot, in spite of some of the shortcomings that we were kind of nitpicking today. So I'll call it like, the heck, I'll just say 8. Why not?
There you go.
Yeah,
nice.
sure.
Dig it.
I'll commit to that number.
I'm gonna give it a 9. It was wrapped up really nicely at the end. Like it felt very convenient, the ending. So there are some things I have issues with. 9, not perfect, but it was really, really good. Really.
Yep.
I'm gonna go an 8.5 on it. It's a good episode, despite its shortcomings. It wrapped things up a little too neatly on that, and obviously, we're gonna have to start sorting through timeline issues again. People, come on. So yeah, 8.5 is good for me.
Draft.
I'd say 8. Missed opportunities to actually make the episode like kind of epic and absolutely a staple in the season. I think they finished like they started with like a kind of like easy, confusing episode, like a little bit.
Mhm.
But it was a great season. So
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, I'm with Hawk. 8.5. This is a good episode. Besides the Mariner subplot, like it's pretty flawless, honestly. I loved it. I do have very major issues with the whole Mariner Carol wrap up, but that at the end of the day, that's not quite what this episode's about. So I dig it. 8.5. Over on YouTube, we have Joe did give his earlier. It was, I believe, a 10 out of 10. Badgie after credit scenes. MC gives it an 8.5 out of 10. Haven gives it a 7. Maggie gives it a 10 out of 10. Wayner a 10. Lots of 10s. I like it. Lower Decks is fucking awesome. Like that's what we all. I mean,
The thing
agree
is,
on.
like, it's we're seeing a lot of ups and downs in this season.
This
when,
was
like,
the
when-
most up and down season of Lower Decks.
Yeah, when you watch like season 2, is like,
Yep. Let's actually
Yeah.
let's talk about that real quick. Final thoughts on season 3 as a whole. We're gonna go in reverse order this time. Draft. Final thoughts and your rating out of for the season.
we definitely see Lower Decks sometime running out of breath, which is good because I think they had a great idea for this show and they did absolutely amazing for, let's say, 2 season and some. And you see that now they need to find themselves again and reinvent and find a new thing to do because as a lot of Trekkie when it started were saying like, how are they going to do that for several seasons?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
here we are. Here we go. What's going to happen? And I think season 4 is going to be very important because usually Star Trek shows like they are flop in the first season, right? And then they grow. And 4 is usually their peak. Like season 4, 5 is like usually where the shows are really grown and the characters, and you have like these very interesting arcs. But
That's what's
now
unique about Lower Decks, right, Draft? Like seasons 1 or 2 were pretty much flawless. Like
so now
yeah.
they're hitting their, like not the wall, but let's say they have to slow down. They like got out of warp, and I'm really, really and scared and excited for season 4 because I'm like, you cannot keep doing the same thing right now. We saw it with this with this season. So what are you gonna do? And I believe in them. I'm sure this is gonna be awesome. But yeah, interesting times.
What's your rating?
For the whole season,
Yep.
I'd say solid 8.5.
Nice. Huck.
I gotta go for a rating for the whole season. Yeah, I'd say like an 8, leaning towards the 8.5 in that. Draft's right. It's like I think that they need to find a second wind. And I don't think they want to come back in season 4 and then kind of rehash a lot of these same kind of storylines. Carol gets mad at Mariner gets mad at Carol, or anything like that. I think they're done. They've shown growth this season. Everybody has in their own ways. So going into next season, I want to see like something different for them in that. And maybe that might involve like, promoting them at some point, maybe at the beginning, maybe halfway, maybe later on in the season.
I'd like some
I mean,
promotions.
The show is not Star Trek Cerritos. It's Star Lower Decks. So bring me new Lower Decks. All right, let's see what happens.
But a great example of this too is the Nathan Fillion show on ABC, The Rookie, which is fantastic, by the way. He starts off as an LAPD rookie, and he's not a rookie anymore. None of them are rookies anymore. But the show is still called The Rookie, and now they have, like Giraffe said, new rookies on the show. promote and have them start training a new class. Yes. Eric.
Yeah, it's great that Nathan Fillion went from a writer to a detective or to a cop on that show. It's so crazy.
Right.
He used to be a pirate.
I know. Weird.
Pirate.
Is the same show than Castle?
Different show than Castle,
It was
yeah.
a joke.
It's a joke.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
so confused. I was like, wait, what?
He was also a priest for a short period of time. That was
And a
Buffy.
superhero.
Yes.
Dr. Horrible?
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. This season, I really enjoyed. They went, instead of going for the jokes, they went for character progression, and I think that's where all their writing was focused on. This is their transition year to go from all the funniness of the first two that was just super sharp to moving more to character progression and seeing where they're gonna go moving forward. They had to do more. I don't want to say just serious notes, but they had to service that more than, I guess, the funny random just quick jokes that they're used to. And I appreciate that. I will appreciate that if that goes forward in the next season, like, and if there's a reason for this season being a little bit not as quick-witted as the first two. That being said, I really liked it. I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Hey, something me.
Nice.
Let's go.
Matthew.
I'm kind of debating what yeah. I'm kind of stuck on what number I want to give it here, because part of me wants to say 7, but the other part of me wants to say 6. And I think I enjoyed the season, but I also feel like comparing it to like season 1 and even season 2, those were really strong seasons. I mean, season 1 was like one of the best first seasons ever on a Star Trek show, and it feels like
It is the best.
yeah,
It was the best. Let's be honest. They nailed every single episode.
they really did. And it feels like here in season 3, they are kind of running out of steam. It felt a little stale at times, and the fact that they are going to start bringing in new characters tells you that, yeah, maybe it has gotten a little stale, but it shouldn't have gotten stale this fast, because it's only 30 episodes. So there's no
Right.
reason to be already
True.
getting stuck in things. What's happening, the way things are happening. And, everybody is definitely maturing. And I do agree that someone, Tendi, has to get promoted next season, or else the show is meaningless.
It has to be
Someone has
Tendi,
get
yeah.
promoted. They have to at this
Yeah.
point. One of the things I still don't like about the show, and it got worse really this season, was how, like they said at the end of this episode, in fact, how, like, we all just found our family, and there's so much kumbaya cheerleading, and it kind of kills me because I want it to be a little bit more flawed. Because, yes, all these characters are maturing, but like we talked about the relationship with Mariner and her mom, that could go a whole lot deeper. There's a whole lot of things here that could be investigated on a much deeper plane, and they're not doing it. And that, I think, is why I'm going to give it a 6, because they're not taking risks anymore.
And
Yeah.
can I add to what you were saying, that it's 2 black women in Star Trek, a mother and a daughter? It never happened. Like, come on, like, explore it. Like, we had Jake, we
Agreed.
had
Jake and
Cisco.
Ben, but
Yeah,
they're
right,
men.
Ben,
Yeah, this is 2
Yeah.
black women.
and like
yeah.
2 black women, like give it the depth, give it like the I don't know, it's an important moment for a lot of viewers, and it's again defining on how people see parenting, like how Cisco has been so important, like the character, how he's a father to like a lot of people in the 90s, to how they themselves parent. Give me something. I know it's supposed to be a comedy, but like you can like
No, you can still do
like
it.
a flair,
You can still do
like
it.
come on.
In Crisis Point 2 is a great example of them being serious amongst all the comedy.
Yes.
Like, I think that's probably one of the highlights to me for the season. Probably my number 1 of the entire season. Like, there was some good stuff in there, but I think another thing too they're kind of tripping up on is so much nostalgia. Like, really, the series, the season premiere this time around, like we mentioned earlier, that thing moved so quickly and wrapped up so quickly. So many tight ends, just like so many loose ends, just so fast. So much more nostalgia, and maybe that's also hurting them.
At this
I
point. Yeah.
I think they kind of need to let their characters breathe and be original and take more risks. I think, we're starting to get some of that here, but like really let them out there. Don't just make them jokes. Let's really spend some time. Like we had some time with Rutherford this season too. He had a whole
Yes.
episode where he really got to like dive into himself. That was really cool. I'd love more of that, where they're balancing the comedy with more serious elements, and those elements have consequences to them. It's not like this episode here where a bunch of stuff happened and we saw relationships get strained, but at the end, again, everybody's happy. Who cares? And be more like Rick and Morty, have more problems and make them actually matter.
And they have a lot of time in front of them before the next chronology, so they can actually like do a lot of history of
Yeah.
Starfleet and the Federation, because in 2381, Voyager just finished, right? So they have a lot of time before Picard. So there's a huge chunk of like Federation and Starfleet history that they can just have fun with and tell us like what happens until the Romulan supernova. Like, come on, like dig in it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I want
Like,
to
we can
know.
We can still have like a ton of laughs, and we should, because that's what the show is all about. But let's spend some more time really fleshing things out for not just characters, but also universe. I like that. Yeah.
I do think that Prodigy is filling that role and is going to be filling that role as
Prodigy
well, you know,
forget
like,
that.
and they're really dealing with it. But no, Lower Decks should
Wait.
too. I agree with
But
you.
Prodigy, we don't really know when they are. That's
Well,
the
and
problem.
Aaron has hinted that like shit's timey-wimey on Prodigy.
Yeah,
so
who
knows?
give a pass
I
for Prodigy.
Yeah.
I have to change my score to an 8 purely because I forgot about a mathematically perfect redemption. That knocks it down.
Oh my god, you forgot about that?
How did you forget about
Because
that?
I blocked it out of my
full
mind.
point away.
It's just.
Yeah.
I was looking at all the episodes. I'm sitting there. I was like, I like that one. I like that one. And I got to that one. I was like, oh fuck, no, back
Yeah,
down.
I actually didn't hate that one. I might be the only person in this room that didn't.
No, actually,
Okay.
Oh, Hawk too.
Definitely not a favorite. But I did like. That was a risk that they took. Did it pay off? That's debatable. But I like that they went there. Yeah, I had a lot of good laughs, because especially the voice actor. That one was just like wonderful. I love that voice actor who does her voice. But all right, well, yeah, we'll fight another day about that.
Over on YouTube, Kang gave it a 10, the whole season 10. I'm not sure if that's their episode rating or season rating. MC says I'd give the season a 7, still passable, but didn't hit as consistently as 1 and 2. Haven, for the whole season, I would rate the season a 4. Wayner, I'd say 7.5. I think Kang actually is giving it a 9 out of 10, because while it had the worst Lower Decks episode of 3 seasons, I'd have no problem watching the other 9. So that's it for ratings for me. I'm kind of using this as my new rating system. If I didn't like an episode, that's a point away. I didn't like the premiere, and I hated the Peanut Hamper episode. So 8 out of 10. Still a really good season. Seasons 1 or 2 are still better. If we're gonna rate like the finale too, I would, like out of all the finales, I would say that this is the second best finale next to season 1, with season 2 being the not as good. I felt like episode 9 was a better finale for season 2 than the finale of season 2, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So, anywho, let's get for one night only to the subspace to Lynn
Hailing frequencies are open.
Oh,
and
yes.
Mailbag. And who wants to take the poll? Matthew, you should take our poll. You're our guest. Take the subspace
Sure,
to Lynn.
I'll take Julian's poll, no problem.
Okay.
Save it for Riza.
So we asked Trek Twitter what they thought of the season finale of Lower Decks, and this is what they had to say. 38% said cigars all around. 32% said Cali class strong. 3% said Texas though. 10% said eject the core.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
super.
I turned into Vince McMahon there, I think.
That was a little Vince. It was a little Vince.
Eject the core, damn it.
A
Yeah.
third didn't like it.
A third, yeah. Yep. Hey, it happens. Let's keep going in the mailbag. We'll go from the order before. So, Eric, why don't you continue with Haven's mailbag?
Haven wrote, as an episode, this was a great season finale. Probably one of the strongest season finales I've seen in a while for all the TV shows I watch. The only other season finale which was better was She-Hulk, but it seems that Jennifer and Mariner are done. Oh, yeah, okay. I was thinking Jennifer Wolf. Anyway.
Jenner. yeah.
I was thinking about She-Hulk. Anyway.
Yeah.
Season review. There was 10 episodes this season, and well, only a handful that were truly great. In fact, thinking back on it, there was an episode that I would never watch again, and I'd rather watch Prophet and Lace or Code of Honor before watching it again. For those who are wondering, that's the Peanut Hamper episode. Overall,
I'd rather watch the Peanut episode
Oh,
over
yeah.
Code of Honor.
Fired.
Let's just say it. Yeah.
overall, after 30 episodes, I might finally come to the conclusion that Lower Decks just isn't a show I truly enjoy. But I'm glad so many others do enjoy the series, because to me, it truly is defined as part of infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I know at least 2 other people that don't love Lower Decks. So they're out there. They exist. And I get it. Not every show's for everyone. Hawk, continue with Shatterhands, please. Oh, actually, sorry. Before you do, I missed 2 ratings. Thomas Hill, either for the season or the episode, gave it a 10 out of 10 for me, but I will only get 1 watch, so it may change after many review watches. And he also wrote, it must bring, the season next year must bring 4 new Lower Decker characters and move the others up to Lieutenant, Junior Grade, or Lieutenant. So yeah, go ahead, Hawk, with Shatterhands.
All right, Shatterhand wrote, in the interest of brevity, let me say this. While season 3 of Lower Decks has been a mixed bag for me, and the series overall is among my least favorite of modern Trek, the season finale was a really fun ride. The rallying of the entire California-class fleet to defeat the AI Texas-class fleet was a truly cool moment, and I'm so excited that T'Lyn is finally part of the Cerritos crew. All in all, the season ended on a high note.
Nice. Draft with Wainers, please.
Wayner wrote, this was a great season finale. I'm glad it didn't end with a cliffhanger and having to wait a year. We got Rutherford's implant arc resolved and Mariner is back as a hero. We have T'Lyn back, although she'll need to reel in those emotional outbursts.
Live long
She
and
was
prosper.
out of control in those few seconds we saw her. T'Lyn and Mariner are going to make Freeman and Ransom insane. Rutherford and Billups better build a few of those stress relief machines. Overall, not the strongest season, but these more than made up for it. I have to
Nice.
say
Yeah.
that a lot of people have been obsessed about the Vulcan in scene that we see like all the time in Lower Decks in like 3 seasons. He's always in the back, like doing crazy things. And I hope we get to know who he is because he's been everywhere all the time.
Yes.
Ordering drink, like flirting, naked timing, like blowing stuff up. Like he's all the time somewhere. So let's see what's going on.
Nice. NYRLA wrote, it was hands down my favorite season finale of Lower Decks. With the glaring exception of Peanut Hamper's return, this may be my favorite season of Lower Decks. The show does space battles better than any of the live action shows. That's actually kind of true right now, honestly. I'm glad we got to Lid, but I wish it was more than just a cameo. I'm guessing the Chateau must be doing well for Picard to finance Petra's operation. Indeed. Matthew, continue with Takakos, please.
All right. Takako wrote, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. They found a beautiful way to get Mariner back in the Cerritos, though whether she'll take Jennifer back is another issue, and let Boimler and Shaxs make up organically too. Baby bear!
Yes.
So fun. Wow. I loved how they tied up the threads of Rutherford's background. Also, having grown up in California, hearing and seeing, in the captions, all those ships with California place names, it made me laugh and tear up. Seriously, so good. Culver City.
Hey, there you go. Eric, take us home with MCs, please.
I'm going to throw this to Draft because I know she's your bae.
She's my bae.
Aw, sweet. I love it. Take us home, Giraffe.
MC wrote, this finale goes to show being predictable isn't disappointing. We could all see some points. Admiral Buenamigo, AI taking over the Texas class, Rutherford being involved, coming. But it still worked. The end scene reminded me so much of the first episode. I feel we're going into a new phase of Lower Decks. As for the season as a whole, I found it a little uneven. There were incredible highs, but some disappointments. Peanut Hamper and Jennifer mostly. But all in all, happy with it, and I'm looking forward to season 4.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Remember how like 4 episodes ago we were like, oh, they stunned each other. Relationship goals.
That went down the tubes.
Wow.
Yeah, but that
Jesus.
happens in relationships.
It does.
It's true.
It does indeed. That is going to do it for this one. Before we go, Matthew, we need you, sir, to plug away. What's going on with you? What's going on with Trek Untold? Where can people find you, sir?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you guys again for letting me join you and talk some Lower Decks with you guys. And I'm a big fan of the show, and I enjoy being here very much and getting to talk with all of you. And, the fact that I've also now met Julian in person, I just want to throw this out there. He gives, like, the best hugs. And, to be honest, yeah, like, I was having a pretty rough New York Comic Con. It was, for me, probably one of the worst cons I've been to for a lot of reasons. And seeing you was definitely a highlight. So I'm glad that just happened. And I finally got to meet face-to-face. So that was really cool. But for folks out there who want to follow...
An absolute pleasure, sir.
Thank you. For folks who want to follow me and check out my weekly interviews with various contributors to the Star Trek universe, our new episode actually just came out earlier today, and that's with Albie Selznick. And he was the actor who was in 3 episodes of Star Trek. You could see him first in The Cost of Living as the juggler, in the holodeck. He was then the Talk console in Voyager on the episode Macrocosm, and then he was Tosh on the Voyager Conspiracy. And he also has a 4th secret Star Trek role that we talk about.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you guys can check that out if you want to hear more about him. In terms of who's coming in the next weeks, I've recorded a whole bunch of episodes. There's a lot of very, very obscure folks, many of whom have not done interviews ever about Star Trek.
Cool.
So there's some real cool ones here. I'm going to tease one exclusively for this show. And I'd love to say their name, but if I did that, that would break my code of honor. So subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or check out the video version on youtube.com/nerdnewstoday. Trek Untold. And hey, my birthday's on Monday. I really want to hit 1701 followers, so please follow me on Twitter.
Follow
if you can.
Trek
Happy
Untold
birthday.
and happy birthday.
Yo, I have to say about Code of Honor, I wanted to say that at least a lot of black actors got paid. So
Hey. Yep.
that's a good thing about Code of Honor.
If that's not a great cliffhanger to go and listen to that episode, I don't know what is. So
Yeah.
go
No,
follow
it's gonna
Trek
come. I
Untold.
don't know the date yet, but it's coming very soon. So you got to stay tuned for it. It's going to be again. This is a person who has not spoken about this probably ever.
Wow.
Cool.
I'm
And
excited.
we're watching Schism just after.
Oh, there you go.
Schism.
For Spooky Trek, Schism.
Yeah,
Nice. Dig it.
Schism.
That's probably going to be delayed a few minutes, but it'll be directly following the pod. Quick bit of news, Matthew. Thank you, by the way, so much for joining. We will have you on again very soon. Quick bit of news about the pod. We all decided, because of scheduling and stuff, that next week's show is going to be pre-recorded. I'm going to be out of town. So we'll set it as a premiere again so you guys can still all chat. But we're going to pre-record next week's episode of Prodigy. So look for that Thursday
It's a
at
good
noon.
one.
It's a really good one. Can't wait to talk about that one.
Oh, I've not watched it. I need to
No, you need to. You got to. That's going to do it. Thank you so much to everyone on YouTube, our collective, for listening and watching our Lower Deck Season 3 finale episode. We will see you, not next week. You'll see us, but you won't see us live. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. For Matthew, for Hawk, for Eric, for Giraffe, I am Julie, and I will say, live long and prosper. Majram. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.